Welcome to the Cantor's Corner. This week in Parshat Bamidbar, we read about the first census taken of the ancient Israelites. Out of all of the tribes, the only one that had a separate census taken was the tribe of Levi. The reasoning was because the Levites could not own land, since they were charged with taking care of the temple. When I saw how the Levites were treated and counted differently than the rest of the population, it made me question, is there a population in our time that is denied a right that everyone else possesses? In America today, I believe those people in question are the ones who are denied the right to vote. Millions of Americans today are unable to participate in what is viewed by many as, quote, a fundamental political right, despite the fact that the 15th Amendment states, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. An estimated close to 6 million people lose their right once they are in our criminal justice system, according to state laws. Most of them regain their right to vote once out of prison, but many states continue to restrict voting rights when a person is on parole or probation. In 12 states, a person will never again regain their right to vote once they are charged with a felony. Thankfully, Vermont and Maine allow their inmates to vote while serving time. However, they are the only states in America with this provision. Due to the racial nature of mass incarceration in our country, an estimated 1 out of 13 African Americans are unable to vote. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 had a provision which made it very difficult for selected southern states to impose laws that had restricted minority voters access to the polls, such as a poll tax or a reading test. In 2013, that provision was struck down by the Supreme Court. Not too long afterwards, those states and others took action to create voter ID laws, which require a person to present a state or federal identification, such as a driver's license or a passport, in order to gain access to the polls. Those forms of ID are hard to obtain for low-income households or immigrants. This, thereby, quietly silences their political voices. Finally, millions living in the U.S. territories of Puerto Rico, Guam, and American Samoa are also barred from the right to vote. The reason is because when the territories were first acquired by the U.S. in the Spanish-American War, it was concluded that these lands were inhabited by, quote, alien races who wouldn't be able to understand Anglo-Saxon principles. This temporary provision is still in place over 100 years later, even though over 90% of Puerto Ricans are American citizens, among whom is Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. This leaves me to wonder, what can we do about this situation? We can donate or volunteer for voting rights activism groups, such as the ACLU or VRA for Today, which can be found at VRA4Today, all one word, .com. Both of these places have loads of resources available to get a better understanding of the issue and lots of ways to get involved. The Sentencing Project, which can be found at sentencingproject.org, is dedicated to combating the U.S.'s mass incarceration system, which includes eliminating the racial nature of the system and restoring the rights of incarcerated people. They are a fantastic repository of information. For more information on how mass incarceration works in the U.S., I strongly recommend reading The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Armed with this knowledge, we can contact our state and federal representatives, make the argument that American citizens of Puerto Rico have a right to vote. Let them know An American citizen in prison is still an American citizen, and all American citizens have the right to vote. In order for us to make a change, we all need to stand together as one, because, as our Midrash says, if a person were to take a bundle of reeds, that person would not be able to break them all at once. However, if the reeds were to be taken one by one, even a baby could break them. Come and join me in the fight for voting rights equality.